We're being joined by Raquel Pennington, who in my opinion is the number one contender now in the women's bantamweight division. Wanted to get her thoughts on the main event this past Saturday in Edmonton, and of course, what's next for her. She joins us via the phone. Raquel, are you there?
Yeah, how's it going?
It's going great. Why have we never had you on? Where have you been, Raquel?
More like, why haven't you contacted me?
That is a fair question. I'm sorry about that. I apologize for taking so long, but I'm happy to have you on now, and I think it's a great time after the main event and where you are in the bantamweight division. First things first, did you watch the main event on Saturday?
I did.
So it's a hot debate this morning in MMA. Everyone weighing in on who won. Who do you think won?
Yeah, it was a close fight and everything, but I would probably have to give it to Amanda. It went the way that it was supposed to go, I guess.
What do you mean by that?
I just feel like, I don't feel like either one of them really went out there and did anything. The highlights made the fight look a lot more exciting than what it really was.
Right.
But Amanda, she had center control the entire time, and I guess if you really want to break it down, I haven't broke it down yet to see all the strikes landed and stuff, and I didn't pay attention to all that. I was just kind of watching the competition because, like you said, I do believe I'm number one contender now. So that's kind of more of what I was paying attention to, but just kind of looking at it, I was leaning more towards Amanda with the fight anyways, just as far as she was performing just because of her cage control.
I thought she won rounds 1, 3, and 5. I don't know if you were looking at it that closely, but I do agree that I thought she did enough to win. Were you impressed with her? Watching it from your perspective, were you impressed with Amanda?
I wasn't impressed with either one of them.
Okay. How come?
Like I said, I thought it was going to be, their first fight was a lot different, and if they had 2 more rounds than that, I think Valentina could have won that fight. So I think coming out, I expected a lot more performance on both ends. And it just kind of seemed that they were just waiting for each other to kind of react. Amanda didn't want to really react. She stayed in front of her, though. And then Valentina didn't want to really react, although Valentina is more of a counterpuncher as it is. But I just figured, with the close fight that they had before, that Valentina would come out given this opportunity and she would put on a bigger performance. And then Amanda, obviously, wanting to keep the belt, she would obviously go out there and try to dominate, but to see them just kind of go back and forth and stand in front of each other, and it kind of was annoying me with the fact that they were bragging up her cardio and stuff, because in my opinion, everybody can stand in front of each other and do that for 5 rounds.
It reminded me a little bit of the Wonderboy Thompson-Woodley rematch where they both fought each other before, they know how good they are, and both were sort of hesitant to really engage and take chances and put themselves out there. You get what I'm saying?
Oh, I definitely agree. Obviously, you're at the top level here, so you're going to have both fighters who are being very smart, but I think they're both being just a little too cautious.
So you haven't fought since November. Why have you been out for so long?
I had to have 3 major surgeries after I fought Misha. I had my shoulder completely redone, my right shoulder, and then I had to have wrist surgery, and I had mouth surgery.
Wow. Wait, so you had mouth surgery?
Yeah, I actually I cracked my tooth at the gum line with that fight, and so they had to go and extract the tooth, and then I had to do the whole process of adding more bone up into the jaw and stuff.
Oh my gosh, was that a nightmare?
It was a little painful. I would probably say the first 2 days were more painful than what my shoulder surgery was, and then with my shoulder surgery they went in and they had to clean up the rotator cuff, fix my labrum, and then I had to have my bicep tendon cut clean because it was torn, and I had to have it cut clean. And then normally they anchor the bicep a little bit lower, but there's been studies shown that with too much impact, the bone can actually shatter where it's anchored at. So with me having the career that I have, even though they cut my tendon shorter, they had to stretch it so they could anchor it higher. But with that being said, the doc said that my arm should actually be 30% stronger now. So I'm actually having fun with it because I got released to start training, and I've been finding a whole new power in my right hand now that my shoulder doesn't have that pain anymore.
So it was the right shoulder. Was it the right wrist as well?
Yeah, I had my right wrist done. I developed a cyst that was pushing apart 2 of my bones, and it caused one of my tendons to tear.
Whoa. And that's all in the last 8 months? That's all between now and the Misha fight?
Yes. So I've just been right after Misha. I went into surgery, and I've just been on recovery.
Did these injuries happen as a result of the Misha fight, or were they just built up over time?
The shoulder actually happened it officially finished. Everything happened in the Misha fight, but I started feeling it actually 2 weeks prior to the fight. I couldn't even lift my arm. So if you watch the fight with Misha and you can see me throwing a million jabs, it's because I could not get my right arm to fire.
Wow.
I was just having way too much pain and stuff. And then during the fight, in that moment where I picked her up and stuff, I felt something. It was like a weird feeling. It was like this weird flush that went through my arm. And then after that, I was completely done.
Wow. And you beat Misha. I mean, by far your highest profile win, fighting through all that. So that makes the win even more impressive, in my opinion. Do you feel, though, that because it was so long ago now, I mean, we're approaching 1 year, do you feel like you've kind of lost a little bit of momentum, like you're out of the spotlight? Usually you get a win like that at MSG of all places. There's a ton of attention on you, but now due to the layoff, you're trying to get back into that discussion. Do you feel like you've lost a little bit of that momentum?
I don't believe I've lost any momentum. As far as where I stand or whatever, I believe my past few fights have proven that for me. As far as being in the talk of everybody, I've always kind of been the dark horse in women's MMA, so I'm completely fine with all that. But as far as ring rust or anything like that, I don't believe in that. I think ring rust is only real if you believe in it.
Okay. And I think Dominick Cruz would agree with you as well. So just looking at the rankings, I mean, Valentina just fought Amanda for the second time. Holly Holm is in talks to fight Chris Cyborg. Then there's Juliana Pena, who's coming off a loss and hasn't fought since January. I don't know why Ronda Rousey is still in the rankings. And then it's you. Below you, Sarah McMahon, Kat Zingano. Sarah just lost. Zingano is out. I mean, you're the one. You're the one there. Have they told you that you're next in line for a title shot?
It's definitely been in the talks.
Oh, great.
And like I said, I mean, I think it's just a long time coming.
But now we've heard from Amanda on Saturday, and she said that she wants to take the rest of the year off. She has to get surgery on her nose to fix her sinus issue. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think that at the end of the day, we're humans and we do got to take care of our health. If that's something that she feels like she needs to take care of, then I mean, by all means, go ahead. I know that it was important for me to take care of my shoulder and stuff. I can mentally push through things, but there just comes a point if you want, my career, I want longevity. I don't want to just be able to push through and know that I mentally pushed and everything. I want to be able to perform at my maximum performance. And so that's why I took the time off that I needed to. And if Amanda needs to do the same thing, then that's fine. It gives me all the more time to keep training and keep grinding and having fun with what I'm doing.
So you're willing to wait, even though it may mean not fighting in 2017, coming back in early 2018. That's okay by you?
Yes. I mean, I was definitely looking for, I've kind of talked with the matchmakers and Dana about possibly in December. So that was kind of my time frame that I was happy about. If it was going to happen sooner, then all right, I'm ready to take it on. If it's going to happen a month or two later, then okay, hey, a month or two later.
Okay.
If they want to throw a fight at me to give me, I guess you can say in quotes, a warm-up fight, then I'm ready for that too. So we'll just kind of see what happens. And either way, I mean, I'm ready to rock and roll.
So you're on this 4-fight winning streak. And prior to that, you would win one, win two, maybe lose one, lose two. You would kind of go up and down and never go on a streak like this. How have you been able to go on the streak? What have you done to solidify your place as one of the best at 135?
I kind of went through this whole phase when I turned professional. I was having fun, and then it just kind of went into this thing where it didn't feel like fun anymore. It didn't feel like a passion. It actually felt like a job, and I was kind of just rolling through the motions. I really lost my passion, and I felt like I lost a part of me. And plus, I was back and forth with different coaches and stuff. The gym that we all trained at and the partners that I all knew, the gym kind of fell apart, and so it was like having a family, and then it all just kind of crashing and burning. So, I mean, I kind of went through this phase where I didn't care if I won or lost. It wasn't something that was really important to me. Although after every fight, I was super disappointed in myself because I've never really lost. It's always been a decision and a close decision. So that's what always annoyed me because it was just well, maybe if I would have done this, that, or another. And then I was just like, you know what, whatever. And I would move on. And then finally I was like, you know what, I need to really reevaluate things. I either need to go back to my roots and like really remember why I fell in love with this and why I'm doing this and why I came this far, or I just kind of need to walk away from the whole thing. And I had a long talk with some of my coaches that have been there from the beginning, and then we brought in new coaches and we switched up our training styles and just kind of did everything, and it's been fun. And my coaches we built our own little family, and the way that we have that going and the partners that we bring in, I guess we kind of just added that spice that I needed again and to light the fire. So I've just been having fun, and I set a different determination in my head because at the end of the day, I feel like nobody can really beat me. That most of the time that these girls were beating me, because before that I was beating myself before even walking into the octagon. So now I kind of just reset that in my head, and I've been having a lot of fun.
How close were you to walking away?
Really close. I think I battled everything. We can sit here and talk for hours about everything that I've been through in my career, and I'm surprised that I even stayed there. But I found that little bit of positive. I mean, it was like a needle in a haystack was my positive, and I found it, and I just ran with it and decided to turn it around. So, I mean, if that gives you an idea.
Wow. Well, like, could you tell us, like, what was the biggest thing that you were battling? What is one of many things? There was so much. I had personally, I had relationship issues. I had family stuff happening that was really changing my family. Like I said, I mean, me and my coaches were on the battlefield. There was just tons of gym drama. I was battling people who were closest to me that for some reason, all of a sudden I started looking to them for approval instead of just completely believing in myself. And I was kind of dragging myself down with certain things. There was really no happy home. At one point, I didn't have any set of coaches behind me, and it was kind of me coming home to my mom, and I was like, hey, you know what? There's the Ultimate Fighter. Let's go try this thing. And she's like, well, what are you going to do? And I got up every day, and I made my meals for the day, and I put myself through my own workouts, and I had a bag to hit, and I pretty much coached myself before the Ultimate Fighter, went to the Ultimate Fighter with a completely unknown what was going to happen. And then when I got out of the Ultimate Fighter, I was like, okay, I need to kind of find a happy home. I didn't know if it was moving away from Colorado that I've always known to go find a place or to actually just sit here and see what I can build. And when I started working with Mark Fiore, we actually ran into each other at physical therapy, and we just kind of talked, and it happened that he moved from, I think it was Illinois, where he used to work with Matt Hughes and all them. Mm-hmm. He moved from there, and then I kind of just, one relationship built after another, and I was working with a lot of the athletes at the Olympic Training Center, and then it went from one thing to another, but I was all over the place. Like, there was no happy home for me. And so what's your team now?
We call it Team Rocky. It's me, and it's my coaches, and we're a little family, and the way that we grind and the partners that we bring in, it's pretty much just my camp. And
the way
then
it
now,
should be.
As you know, with Tisha, she moved here, and she said the way that she's been training and stuff, she knows that she feels a huge difference in her training as well. Like, I think just the one-on-one, the repetitions, the partners that we're able to bring in, the opportunities that we do have, I just think it's a lot better than being at like a big gym. And there might be multiple bodies and stuff, but just the one-on-one and everything, and then just the team bondings that we have, whether it's barbecues and going out and hanging out and doing all that stuff, it really makes a big impact.
I remember when you fought Holly Holm, UFC 184, and that was kind of supposed to be a showcase for Holm, and you fought her very tough. Some people even thought you won. Split decision win for Holly. Was that in the midst of all of this? Do you think about that fight a lot, how different things could be? You'd be probably fighting for a belt sooner had you actually beat her?
Yeah, I think that was my turning point. It was that fight that my coach, we got into a huge fight in the locker room. We were fighting the whole week leading up to the fight. It was not a fun, pretty sight at all. My whole week going through that, I was already trying to deal with the emotions of dealing with Holly's hype train coming into that. It was a huge fight. We were the co-main event. There was a lot of pressure. And then the person that's supposed to be closest to me, minus my family and stuff, he's fighting with me, and we weren't getting along. So it was kind of just rolling through the motions that week. And then after that, everything kind of fell apart. We went into the locker room, and the words that he told me is something that I'll never forget. And the actions that he showed me, and then the way that he just walked away from me, was something that I was like, all right, you know what, I don't deserve this, but some of the stuff that he said, I was like, okay, it kind of helped me to, I guess you can say, pull my head out of my ass too.
Wow.
To just realize that I needed a better group of people around me and I needed to step up to the plate in a different way.
What did he
So
say to you?
that fight is something, you know, he just told me that they don't make pills to be a champion and that he can't turn me into a champion because I don't want it. And he was kind of just, you know, he was very vulgar with his words, calling me a little B and all this other stuff. And just kind of really, it was just this moment where it was just mistreating. And it was that's how it was leading up to the fight. So it was just one of those things where I had to take a step back, and that's one fight that I'll never forget because that's the fight that kind of changed everything for me.
What's his name?
Let's not go there.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's kind of easy to find out. Just look, but I understand if you don't want to say it. That's just kind of shocking for him to treat you that way. So now everything's come together for you. Now you're in a good place. You found love, right? You're engaged. Although the last time we spoke to Tisha, she said that you didn't want to commit to a wedding date. Have we committed to a wedding date yet? What's going on?
We didn't want to commit because Tisha. We originally wanted to have a fall wedding. I mean, we live in Colorado, and fall here is absolutely gorgeous. So we originally wanted to do that, and then Tisha got lined up for a fight in July. So it was just kind of crazy. We couldn't really go through an intense fight camp and plan a wedding. So we decided to hold off on that. And then we've actually been talking a lot about May 12th. So we're going to go look at that and see how that is. It does. Another thing for that too with me is I was raised very family oriented, and one of my cousins, who's basically like my brother, he's deployed right now and he doesn't get back till November. So that was a big factor for me as well.
Where is he?
He's in Kuwait right now.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that certainly makes sense. By the way, how did you meet Tisha?
I've known Tisha since about 2012.
Oh.
We met at Invicta, and we've always been friends. We fought on a few cards together, and then always at the meet and greets or when we crossed paths, we were always hanging out and doing stuff. So we've always had a friendship and a foundation there. And then I always joke with her and tell her, not this previous fight week, but the International Fight Week 2 years ago. Yeah. We were there, and I always joke with her and tell her that she finally got smart. Because then that's when our relationship started.
So you were chasing her, and then she finally opened her eyes.
Yeah, I guess you can say. I've always kind of had a little crush on her and thought she was just a little badass and a good friend and stuff. But I was always in a relationship. She was always in a relationship, so the timing was never there. And then I think everything kind of just fell into place. You know, I mean, I have a great relationship with my family. My gym life fell into place with my gym family. And then now I was always dating somebody who never understood my career and what that consisted of. So it always made things really hard. I always went into fights carrying extra weight because, I was always trying to deal with relationship issues. And then now I have somebody who we can go into the gym and we train and we're partners and friends, and then we can come home and we have our loving relationship.
That is great. And it's all coming together for you. You're on the cusp of fighting for a belt. So when do you think you'll find out if this will actually happen, the title shot finally next for you?
I'm hoping to hear soon. Any time can happen. I'm just staying patient and see what happens.
But you're confident. You think it's your time. You think you're going to get it. I feel like Dana has always had a thing for you. Like he's always really had a soft spot for you. And I feel like now, like he's going to make it right by you. Ever since The Ultimate Fighter, he's always made a point to really push you and promote you.
I think that, I don't know. I think with the fight with Jessamyn Duke, he's seen something, and I've asked Dana a few times, and he just said the aura that I carried and the fight style that I had behind me, he sees a lot of potential behind me, and he's just waiting for me to truly unleash that.
Wait, so you've asked Dana? You've asked Dana why he likes you?
No, I've just been curious because everybody's like, oh, Dana this, Dana that.
Right.
And so I was just a little shocked myself, too, on The Ultimate Fighter. I mean, I remember clear one day when he just kind of pulled me aside, and he was just really impressed with when I fought Jessamyn Duke, and the words that he said to me back then about how I have this grind and the aura and that I carry and everything, and that he just really feels like I can be something, and he's excited to watch it unfold. So hearing that from somebody who's been in this sport for a long time, been around hundreds of athletes, I mean, that's pretty motivating.
Yeah, that's incredible.
So that's where that conversation went.
And by the way, the next time you fight, now that you're with Tecia, will your mom still cook your meals for you, or are we not doing that anymore?
I actually have somebody who does my my meal prep and stuff. My family's very supportive. So when we have like our get-togethers and stuff, we have family dinners or whatever it is once a week or every other week. My family does really well at keeping my meals clean and stuff. But my mom's actually my weight cutting partner. She's there from the beginning, and my coaches know that they get a day off when we're out there for the fight because my mom takes over everything, and she just she weighs herself the same way that I weigh myself, and then she's like, all right, let's start this. And she kind of makes it a competition. So It doesn't make weight cut as miserable, and I have somebody else going through it with me.
Does she actually go in the sauna and lose weight herself?
She does. She drops down to 135 as well, and then she has to hydrate.
Oh, she has to hit 135 as well, not just some arbitrary weight?
That's what she does. She makes it her goal, and so she makes it a competition. And when she doesn't hit it sometimes, because there's been 2 fights where I've had really bad weight cuts. I've never had bad weight cuts, but I mean, I think out my entire career, I've had 2 bad weight cuts. And during those ones, she hasn't hit her goal. She's been off by like 4 pounds, so she'll get all disappointed. But yeah, she makes it a competition. She's there through the entire thing. She'll do the Epsom salt baths. She'll do the saunas with me. She doesn't do the mummy wrap, but she'll make my mummy wrap terrible because for some reason she likes to like create a lot of friction. So she'll just sit there and like rub the towels to where it creates the friction, and then she just lays on top of me, and it just makes it miserable. But I lose the weight extremely fast, and I always have phenomenal weight cuts. And then it's just, it's kind of our little thing. My mom's my mom, but she's been my best friend.
Wow, that is unbelievable. Someone needs to film that. I thought my mom was supportive. That's a whole other level of support. Wow, that is amazing. Last thing for you, Raquel, you said maybe open, like a sort of warm-up fight, if you will. Is there anyone that interests you, or have you not really thought of that?
Yeah, I've actually always wanted to fight Juliana ever since The Ultimate Fighter. And so, I mean, I wouldn't mind that as a warm-up fight. But like I said, I mean, we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, I'm very happy for you, and I certainly think that you deserve it next. I certainly think that you deserve to fight Amanda Nunes next, and I know it would be a long time coming, and what a great story, it all coming together for you now, the most important time of your life. So all the best to you, and thanks for finally coming on the show. I'm sorry it took so long.
Thank you, I
but
appreciate
happily
it.
we finally got you, and we'll talk to you very soon, and all the best. And I hope that Tecia's family is doing okay back home in Florida as well.
Yeah, she's been a little stressed, but we've been keeping tabs on them. Right now we're out of touch just because they don't have any power, and so nobody can charge their cell phones and stuff. But everybody's good, and just trying to keep Tecia level-headed while we're here. But it's going well.
Okay, well, thank you again for the time.
It was good talking to you.
Yes, all the best. We'll talk to you soon.
All righty, have a good one.
All right, there she is, Raquel Pennington stopping by. Great stuff. Wow, what a backstory. Coach chewing her out in the locker room after her split decision loss to Holly Holm. That is insane. And certainly if you look at the rankings, it makes sense. Does the timing work out? We shall see. The Juliana fight would make sense as well. Let's see what happens in the women's bantamweight division, which could use a bit of, a fresh coat of paint.